707 show. I'm Moira Bush.
And I'm Marsha Lecour.
And I'm Benjamin Stone.
And I obviously have a fit to the giggles. Welcome to the show, my darlings. Tonight we've got something really exciting, Marsha. What's our topic?
Men's health for the 21st century.
And just to prove a point, she brought a man on set. A man on set. On set. God speak up to Benjamin. So Benjamin is our very special guest here tonight, and you're an expert in men's health, and you're a student of men's health. So I think it's just the most amazing guest that you brought on. Well done, girl. I love it. Ha ha! Bring him on. Okay, so for those of you who are new to the 707 show, this is a Facebook group called the 707 show, and every Tuesday night at 707 we go live with a chat show, and literally a spiritual chat show. So we examine things that go on in our lives that spirituality could possibly help us heal, and we look at the mind, the body, and the spirit and the soul and the emotions. We examine everything, and tonight's really great because we have a chance to focus on physical health. And you need to be a member of the 707 group to be able to comment. So you can see we have a screen here. Fabulous. Look, Swapna has joined us. Hi, Swapna. And Martine Austin has joined. Candice Crandon. Elena has joined us. Hello, darling Elena, all the way from Markham. And Corey Fan says, hi, Moira. Hello, Corey. Nice to see you guys. And David John's joined us. Hello, darlings. Welcome for joining. So you see we have a screen here, and if you have anything valuable or questions or any input you want to share, you just got to pop it on here, and every now and again we'll pop on and have a look. Right. So did you guys see that we've got this compassion project drive to collect education materials?
Yeah, this is great.
That's wonderful.
Really impressed.
You know I'm going to hit you up for some stuff, eh?
Yes, well,
donations.
Of course.
yes, want to help.
I had Dwayne here last week on the show with me, and I said, well, Dwayne, we need some cash to get that stuff over to the schools in the Philippines. So he hauled out $50, and because he did it on air, he couldn't take it back with him after the show. Thanks for the money, Dwayne.
Love you, Dwayne.
So literally, we had a show with Nadira and Shannon, and Shannon happened to mention that her cousin is working at this very impoverished school on a little island in the middle of nowhere in the Philippines, and these kids have got like no toothbrushes, they've got no writing materials.
Wow.
I mean, it's so they don't have classrooms, they're out in the open air. So we have taken it upon ourselves just spontaneously to ask for materials. You've got until this coming Tuesday to come to the 707 studio and drop off your donations. And all you need to, if you're not sure what items to bring, we've got a list, and we can talk, and you can just message us after the show. And we will have Shannon here to tell us a bit more about it. She's on the show next week.
Great.
Yeah. So I've got other housekeeping to do. Oh, yes, there's one more thing I must mention. On the 26th of March, that particular show that we're having here, we are inviting a member in the 707 group to come and be a guest.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
That's awesome.
No,
So if you
great.
fancy yourself a bit of a TV fundi and a social media TV fundi, and you want to come and sit here on the set on the 26th of March, and you're happy to travel to Oakville, because this is where our studio is in Ontario, Canada, then we want to hear from you, and you can do an application to Shannon. You simply just have to tell us you're interested, and we'll put you in the draw, and we'll see who comes, who turns up. So it'll be interesting. As long as you have some kind of thing to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dead air won't be fun.
Dead air isn't that
Never
fun?
fun. No.
Okay, that's me. Housekeeping done.
Finished.
Why are we talking about men? I love that we're talking about men's health. But I've had both of you as guests over the last few years on the Magenta show, so I've gotten to know both of you.
Yes.
So I deeply appreciate the knowledge, and especially the shared knowledge you have. But I'm so glad you brought this topic to the 707 group. So
Well, I personally think it's a hot topic. I know 5 men that I was close to died of cancer just from that chronic situation themselves, and 3 other men that I'm close to survived that particular health situation. So for me, it's really a passion purpose. And the Canadian men's, actually the men's health foundation.ca recently did a study, and they estimated that 72% of men are either borderline unhealthy and or unhealthy.
how much?
72%. So that is almost 3
That's high.
out of
It's very
every
high.
4 men.
Okay, and well, I love statistics because they serve as a wake up call, don't they?
Yes.
They kind of make you realize that you think you're the only one, but then there's a lot more like you that are not paying attention to health. So yeah, was this you? I'm asking because he's the man on set, right? Was this you that you were borderline or not looking after your health?
I wouldn't say that per se. We grew up eating quite well. It was probably when I became a bodybuilder and got into that type
You're
of...
a bodybuilder?
I was.
You didn't tell me that on the Magenta show. He's interesting. Look at this.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Wow. And?
I got up to 280 pounds. And
as a bodybuilder? As
a bodybuilder,
wow.
Yeah. So I consumed between 7,000 and 15,000 calories a day at the upper end. And there was a lot of animal products. And at that time, I didn't understand the importance of what you should eat, where you should buy it, quality of food. It was just about macronutrients, which are carbs, protein, and fats for people who don't know, and putting them in the right ratio and getting it into that body like 8 times a day. So that lifestyle led me to end up getting advanced stage cancer. So, and of course I would add to that, childhood kind of trauma, the way that I grew up. There was a lot of abuse in our family. So you've got that mindset, and which kind of led me to the bodybuilding, ironically, because it was like, well, I need to build a strong exterior because I'm tired of this, that, and the other thing. And rest assured, I remained a sort of soft, docile, nice kind of guy, but I got sir from everyone. So it served its kind of purpose, but it ultimately led to disease.
Now, you mentioned that you had melanoma, advanced stage.
Yeah.
And so I know you personally. So tell us about what you did to sort of take care of that.
Yeah. I was informed by a psychic who had said to me, you need to find this place. Ended up being Toronto Sprouts at the time. And so I went there and I met the owner at the time, and she said, you need to start consuming this wheatgrass and sprouts. And I'm like, all right, whatever, right? I don't know what this stuff is really. Green stuff.
Green stuff, yes.
Absolutely. And then she said you might want to go to the Hippocrates Health Institute in the USA. So before I went and did that, I did a lot of research. I was in IT, so it had to make sense to me, and I intuitively never felt compelled to just follow the medical system. There's just something that's not right there. It's how I feel, and of course I have other proof to validate that. But so I read Robert Young's The pH Miracle. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that's the best thing, but what it did do was it got me to change the way that I was eating. So it already started to kind of drop weight, because now at this point I was even more bloated. I think I had like a 58-inch waist, and like I was in bad shape also. And so this started to help me, and then I went to the Hippocrates Health Institute, which I really thought I was going into some hippy-dippy thing, because... Right, I really did. Like, oh, we're gonna just.
You have a scientific brain, and the fact that a psychic told you to go was the first thing I thought you were going to say is a doctor told me, but no, a psychic told you. I mean, that alone is huge.
No, in fact, the doctor told me that I was crazy and I will die when I said I was going to go do that.
And I was also at this same place for a health condition that I had, and I think the whole premise here is nutrition. So nutrition alone can reverse a lot of things. So I have a printout here. I want to make a point. 70%, this is according to the research that was done by the Canadian Men's Health Foundation. And it says 70% of men's health problems can be prevented by adopting healthy lifestyles. And when you go to Hippocrates Health Institute, or not just Hippocrates Health Institute, but taking control of your health, especially as a man, you can reverse a lot of health conditions. And I think that was...
And that was her first port of call, was the green wheatgrass. And
it was, but I put a caveat into that, that even though I said this all the time, and I've looked at old videos from a decade ago when I was there, because I did some speaking then and thereafter, and the thing that I always said was, I came down here thinking I was doing a diet, but I had a spiritual experience. Yeah. Because what really happened was I started to identify what I didn't like in life, what kind of BS I was putting up with, what kind of emotional traumas existed in there, and it was an environment that allowed a love to flow, for lack of better words. And so that was really healing. Yes, you can take in those nutrients, and you must, but my experience working with clients as well is you can put all the nutrients you want in, but if those other areas are not taken care of, you'll be sick.
The root cause of it all.
Yeah.
So, the spiritual and the emotional.
Yeah. So I know you had another statistic you wanted to share, and that is the only time men, I think you said something about the only time men would go and see a physician or get a checkup.
Right, 80%. Yeah. So I have it right here. 80%. No, actually, it's another one. It's from the NIH. Yeah. That 80% of the men have to be convinced to see a physician, and they have to be convinced either by a partner or their wife.
Yeah.
80%. Wow. So that's 4 out of every 5 men.
So it's not men don't wake up and go, well, today I'll get a checkup and see how things go. It's like they wait till they're pushed or somebody else sees something's not right.
So that really confirms that men don't have their health as a priority. Never mind the top priority.
I wonder if our audience agrees with that. I think let's ask them, if you are a lovely gentleman like our Benjamin here and you're watching the show, do you prioritize your health? Do you get regular checkups? Do you avoid doing it? Do you wait till you're pushed by somebody to go and do it? We'd love to hear from you. So would you please pop in some comments? And if you have any questions, please pop them in as well. Why do you think they do that? What are they afraid would happen if they looked after their health? I mean,
I think a lot of it has to do with past conditioning that men have been exposed to, and I see this as a stereotype. Mm-hmm. Men are conditioned. They have to be a certain way. They can't be vulnerable. They can't express their emotions. They can't show their feelings. And so men generally have a pattern or a tendency perhaps to repress what they feel, repress their feelings, and so they become angry, and repressed anger becomes depression. And we now know that there is a higher incidence right now for the male population in terms of suicide.
Yeah. So it happens at the age of 40. It's quite rife, especially in Canada.
Yeah, it's high.
Yeah. And I think what you said, that you, Benjamin, went through this almost spiritual awakening of yourself with it. And I have a feeling that, well, I suspect, I don't know, audience and you guys might want to say something about it, but maybe men feel that if they had to look after their physical health, it means they also have to look at other areas of their life, and they don't want to go there. Because like you say, they're not taught to be vulnerable and to be open to feeling emotions or dealing with their fears and whatever's going on. Yeah, I wonder if that... Isn't that extraordinary?
Yeah, I think it's a big part of it. I myself tend to be an emotional person, and so I'm connected into the body, but I think men are not connected to the body. Yeah. And look at society. You've got this suppression, in my opinion, of men. It's the conditioning, as you said, but it's also the suppression.
Oh, I think honestly, men are having a tough time of it.
Yeah.
This whole Me Too movement and this whole a female rise of power and claiming our matriarchal rights now, and this whole thing is men have to tiptoe. They have to be so careful how they act, how they speak, how they behave, and literally men have got such a bad rap that it's almost like they're becoming apologetic.
Yes.
And I've seen it, and it's really not the right energy to put out there. I think if women can speak to their men folk in a way that is nurturing and caring, and just say to them, hey, you're perfect. You're wonderful as you are, and encourage them to express their emotions and feelings, then we might not have such a
Now
big
that's
problem.
a good point. So now, younger men today, let's say teenage boys, so ordinarily we live in the third dimension, all right? So now, because younger boys today, i.e. teenagers, are so widely exposed to technology that there's now this claim that they're living in a two-dimensional world. What does that mean? They're not in touch with their body. Never mind their feelings.
We had this conversation with Dwayne last week, that money's becoming too... Did you see that show?
I didn't.
We spoke about money becoming two-dimensional because it's become technology. It's this flat thing that floats in the ethers. You don't touch it, you don't have a relationship with it, you don't have that emotional connection with it because it just sits in the ethers. I hadn't thought about it this way as well. You're quite right. It is. These kids are not learning about
so they're
emotional
so
connection.
removed from who they are and their physicality. Now, this is interesting. When I was teaching school, I was in special ed for many years, and I would have the students put pencil to paper rather than, let's say, write a journal for 10 minutes on the computer. Because when they're putting pencil to paper, they're engaging all of their emotions, they're engaging more of their brain, and they're connected to their heart.
Wow.
That's correct.
Whereas opposed to being on the computer, it's just it's too automatic.
Yeah. Anne says she's giving us a commentary. She says my brother is in denial. That's a nice one. Eh?
I'd like to know what that means.
Yeah, what is he in denial about? I wonder.
What's he in denial of, Anne? Won't you give us a little bit more information? I would imagine that if a man is in some state of ill health, or they're physically not fit, or they're not looking after their body, what excuses do they use to stay that way? Because it serves you. It serves you to be in a negative state of health. Why do they do that? Why do they not want to flip to the other side and actually do something about it? What do you think keeps them there? That they need that wake-up call, like the cancer or the heart attack or the really big wake-up call.
It's definitely fear of vulnerability.
Fear of vulnerability. Yeah.
That's correct. And I think if you're an entrepreneur, you're so driven to be productive and successful, whatever success means to you in your business, that your business sort of takes over. And there is, I would say, for lack of a better way of expressing it, a lack of balance.
Well, I'm a woman and I admit to that. I mean, I get in front of my computer and I start going and I realize that I've sat for 3 hours and I haven't moved. So I would imagine that for a man that's the same thing.
Yeah, you just dive in and you're focused on that one thing, but it comes back to kind of that two-dimensional thing, and that is more ego-based, which is fine. We need ego to push through and be animated, right? But if we really want to get to that next level, they need to go into what I'm sure lots of you who are not watching this because you don't follow this show are probably thinking it's woo-woo, but you need to go into that space because then you actually start flowing from a whole different energy, which then you'll care about your health.
Yeah.
I want to cite another statistic, and that is that 62% of the men don't have a healthy diet. You were talking about it's one thing to eat the nutrients, but also at the same time, you have to have a spiritual and an emotional connection. Can we just look at this for a minute? Because I think there's something about what you're eating and how that affects everything for the man emotionally and spiritually.
Yeah. I mean, this is your field of study, isn't it?
Yeah, so the answer to that is yes. Everything is energy. We become what we consume, basically, which is why I've written and will be expanding more on feeding the five senses and quantum nutrition.
In his new up-and-coming book.
My new book,
Are you with Raymond publishing that one?
Yes.
I published with Raymond too. He's lovely. Well done.
Yes.
Yeah. When is it coming out?
It'll be this year.
This year.
We get a bit more time.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Yeah.
But it's that fact that it's not just fuel.
Yeah.
You can't look at it that way. You have to say, I am my physical body, at least, if we don't look at the other stuff, my physical body requires at least 90 nutrients, essential nutrients. It can make certain other things, but it needs 90. Well, most people don't know where to get. They don't even know what the 90 are. They might say vitamin D, C, but there's 90.
Yeah.
So they need to know where to get those from, ensure that they're getting it every day for optimal health. And then whatever you take in affects the microbiome. The microbiome, and in turn affects the brain. The brain, in turn, affects the energy you put out. And bingo, look around, you're like, oh, my life's pretty lousy.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, my business is good, but my relationships suck, and my health sucks, and so on and so forth. So,
Do you want to tell people what microbiome is?
Yeah, I'd like
sure
to know.
it is.
Microbiome?
The microbiome.
Biome.
Yeah.
Microbiome. We're
It's
about,
MICROBIOME.
you're about to be educated. Go for it. Tell us.
Ta-da.
What is this thing? Ta-da! Hashtag.
So the gut. So literally from your mouth to the last part, the anus, is populated with different bacteria. And their job is to make stuff, break down stuff, and if you got bad stuff in you, make trouble for your life. So
They run us, actually.
they do. They're the
boss.
majority. They're the majority. It's almost 10 to 1. So if you're not feeding them and creating, for many of the viewers have probably heard the sort of microcosms, the macrocosm.
That's right.
Well, even though we talk about that in that way, that's also within us, because we are the universe. So our microcosm is affecting our macrocosm. And so if you look out at the world, this is how I see. If you look out at the world and you say, you know what, I'm not going to deal with, the terrorism over in Syria. That's not my problem. That is the same as you not worrying about this part over here in your large intestine that's, overflowing with bad bacteria. You're creating a global environment that is mediocre at best. So you have to look at the right types of foods to feed your gut. And there's a lot of information around that. Like, you could use tests that's called like Viome.com. Is a test that'll actually look at the RNA and DNA of all the bugs in your gut and start to say, hey, this is what I have going on, good, bad, or indifferent. And then choose foods that will actually feed them. And so that's the power, and it's just new. It's really just new, but that's a simple.
But you see, here's the thing I have is, when we study a field of, in the medical field, for example, you become a doctor of the physical body, and then you have a doctor of the mind, and then you have a doctor of nutrition, right? And then you have a doctor of like physiotherapy. There isn't this central person that you can go to who can examine all parts of you and then say, right, what you need right now is a nutrition health. What you need right now is somebody with physical health, somebody with mental health. We need that. I think the medical field has got a gap.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
We're having that. It's called the quantum doctor. That's what I'm studying. So the quantum doctor is covering all of those things. Yeah. But what we've been talking about in school is that the medical system, the allopathic doctor, will still kind of hold their little space in terms of what they do. Yeah. Surgery, emergency medicine, that's great.
Yeah.
But the quantum doctor, although being able to look at everything that way, still needs to kind of be broken up in its specialty. Because a doctor who's working in the spirit, or a doctor who's working in the emotional realm or the mental realm or the vital body, although I can look and understand all of those things and say, well, I think you need that, sort of like the director, we need a team. And so you're right, the medical system needs to say, I'm willing to work with this team, and now we can make people's health better, because they're not getting good results.
I believe that. You know, I mean, the best doctors you can get in the world are the ones who say, and I have heard this, it has happened, where they'll say, well, you know, I can help you physically, but, you know, I need you to go and talk to a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a counselor and sort out your issues, you know. So I know what I'm doing is just treating the symptom, not the cause. But they're not all open to that. And that's just quantum doctors. I love it. So that's the future of medicine, I think. That's the new golden age. Is quantum doctor sits in the middle that can divert you around.
And the other thing too, allopathic medicine is only about 100 years old.
Yeah.
And prior to allopathic medicine in the USA, you had other different forms of medicine: homeopathy, naturopathy. And then you also have Ayurveda, which comes from the Ved, which has its home in India, as a system of medicine that's totally holistic, that looks at the doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, which has been around for 5,000 years.
Well, I grew up in a family with a medical doctor as a grandfather, and I remember him and I were having, you know, these little sit down chats that you have, and I said to him, you know, I asked him about practicing medicine and what was it like practicing medicine in the Second World War in England, and he was working at what is now called St. Guy's and Thomas's, and he said to me, I'm going to tell you a little secret. He says I didn't always give my patients the medicine in the hospital. I said, what do you mean? And I had, like, you know, thank God he's retired, I don't have to report him to anybody, right? Reaction. And he says no, I used to go to the little herbal shops and go and collect herbal medicine, and I used to sometimes give that to my patients.
Wow.
So he knew about the power of herbal medicine in those days already. But again, even in the Second World War, where everything was so scarce, it still wasn't allowed. You still had to give your patients what the hospitals prescribed.
Wow.
He was a naughty boy, but he was a good boy in a way. Dr. Parker would shout out to him.
Sounds like a holistic doctor.
Yeah, and that's, I think we need more of that. We definitely need more. Let's have a look. Diane Brunette says, my guy and I have experimented with various foods, and what goes into our body really matters. It affects your brain, your looks, your energy, your feelings, your attitude, and more. Yes, Diane, we agree with you.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So how do you get a man to go for a health checkup without making him feel like he's an idiot? Because, you know, when a woman says to a guy, listen, darling, you know, you really need to go and get a checkup, or you need to go to the gym, or you need to eat healthier. Men don't actually like to be told what to do.
No.
That's my experience of it anyway. So how do you, what do you do? What's the best approach?
I think, well, one thing that comes to mind for me is to actually engage in the activity with the man. So if you want him to go to the gym, go to the gym with him.
Oi. I'm busted.
If you want him,
busted.
Marsha.
If you want him, or if you want him to go out walking, go walking with him.
Oh, bugger. We can stop the show now.
If you want him to eat better, then you eat better.
Yeah.
So join him in that be a support partner.
Yeah.
Well, my darling husbands, wives, family members, whoever you're out there watching the show, I agree. I do. I also believe that it's a gentle way of just saying, this is what I want to do. Would you like to do it with me? Or you just start doing it, and then automatically they start doing it because they see you're engaging in the activity. You always do the thing you want somebody else to do.
That's right. You model.
Yeah. Mirror to them.
Yes.
Okay, fabulous. Nadira's on saying hello everybody as well. Michael, are there any other comments? Can you just have a look? Does anybody ask questions? Okay, all right. Anne is a big fan of being a vegan, and also asked you was a psychic yourself. She's really honoured tonight. Yeah. What do you think about being a vegan, not eating animal products?
Well, that's an interesting topic, and rather interesting timing. The first thing I'll say is, unfortunately, that psychic is dead, so you won't be going to her. So I was vegan for a decade, and I remained raw vegan for really good 3 to 4 years.
Was this a period where you were coming out of the cancer?
Yes.
Okay. All
yes.
right.
So it was like you have
took
to
the
do
green
this.
sprouts
and,
ready to the
yes.
9th degree. Okay.
But then I went in and I started having other health issues.
Yeah.
And I've had all kinds of, we don't have time for that, but I've had all kinds of interesting stuff for this entire decade, to be quite honest. It was real good for the first, like, 2 years, and then just all kinds of weird stuff. And periodically I would test once in a while. So something that I think is really important is no one gets too caught up in any kind of ideology and dogma regarding food, regarding anything, but regarding food. But
everything's a belief system. Right?
Everything's a belief
everything's
system.
A belief system.
Yeah. So I really did. So even speaking of Ayurveda, I had an Ayurvedic practitioner who told me for probably an additional 2 years, you should eat meat. No, she was vegetarian, but you should eat meat. You should eat. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I can do this. I can make it through. So certainly there are many variables. But what I did for the past 3 weeks now, I went back and started eating grass-fed beef, liver, because my concern was I'm missing very specific nutrients. A in particular, zinc. A number of them I tested on were low. My zinc is low. So things like my libido, my nails have changed, I was having brain fog, just all kinds of things weren't working out. And I understand nutrition. I understood all the different things to be taking, but I still wasn't doing it right for me anyway. And so I thought, well, I'll try the meat again, because there's this very odd, if anyone's watching out there, they will have seen this big explosion of vegans going back to eating meat. Like all over the YouTube, people are like, 25 years vegan, 2 years vegan, whatever, and they've gone back. So it just happened to come across my table, and I operate from a spirit tells me what I need to do next. So I look at that and I go, not that it said you need to eat meat, but it did say, you better look at this.
You're lacking something.
Something, maybe, right? So I did. And so what I can say to that personally is my energy got better and my clarity got better.
The brain fog disappeared.
Like a lot of things started to improve, that even though I was taking all this supplementation and trying to sort it out, there's an intrinsic something there. Now, do I think that you can't do it on veganism? I think you can do it on anything. Again, it boils down to that belief system. But what's really important is you need to ensure that you get all of the essential nutrients. That's what we started this with. You need to get all the nutrients. So if you're being a vegan, like, beer and French fries is vegan. So if you're beer and French fries and having salsa and eating a green salad every day and thinking you're cutting it, you're not. You're eventually going to become unwell. And that goes for the meat eater. That goes for any diet. Why would then meat be included in my case? And it has to be grass-fed because we show a difference in nutrients. I believe in that as well. Yeah. And so why did I do that, though? Because it has, like liver, for example, has all of the nutrients in it. So if by chance it's not that good for me, because there's lots of studies. Look, I've been looking at it for a decade. I've been getting my patients to reverse their health, or reverse their bad health to becoming healthier, reversing disease through veganism, especially raw veganism, because it'll work. It'll put the body into a state of cleansing and destroying, getting the immune system to look at problems. So yes, it works. But long term, there's the possibility that you are going to deplete your stores because you're not doing something right. So meat is kind of this, for the vast majority of people, it's that kind of like backup. You shouldn't eat much meat. 80% of your plate should be plant-based diet. You should be looking at, clean water. And then, of course, the other stuff that we all speak about. Don't eat stuff that have got
GMO crops.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And I think chemicals. One thing I want to put a plug in for is things one can do for the mind technologies like meditation, mindfulness, those sorts of things.
Yeah, I believe.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Wow, this is extraordinary. All right. Is your book going to list what those vital nutrients are that we need?
Yes.
So you're going to spot. Okay, so you got to bookmark this space for when Benjamin Stone's book comes out, and it's you got to give the spiel, because I know Raymond makes you say I'm the upcoming author of.
So I'm the upcoming author of Quantum Nutrition: Feeding the Five Senses for Optimal Health.
Yeah, so you want to bookmark this, because when that book comes up, I think we definitely got to make an announcement on the shows that we have, because I think it's very important that we understand what those nutrients are and learn from your expertise. So that's just been amazing. So it's been good?
Yes.
Been great.
Been great. Good?
I want to make it clear in that book, though, it's not just the 90 nutrients. I'm covering the nutrients that you need for your spirit, the nutrients you need for your mental health, the nutrients you need for your total
Quantum
wellness.
Doctor.
So,
yeah, quantum field, taking care of all the different dimensions that could possibly be the solution to your problems.
right.
I think we're done. Raymond Harrell says, hey, my #1 international best-selling co-author, Benjamin. Oh, that's wonderful, Raymond. Lovely. Raymond Harrell's joined us. All right. So just a bit of housekeeping again is just to remind you, guys, you've got until Tuesday to come drop off here at the studio any educational materials you have for our little kiddies from age 2 to age 10 on a very impoverished island in the Philippines. They have nothing, and honestly, whatever school materials you can bring, we would appreciate it deeply. And yeah, so come and drop it off here with us. Contact Michael, the producer. He will tell you and make sure that he opens the door for you when you come drop things by. And then also remember, if you want to be here on the set on the 26th of March as a special guest, you are so welcome to just let us know, and we will send you the application form. And housekeeping, oh yes, next week we have got the fabulous Shannon, and I think it's Reek German that she's bringing on the show, and they are going to talk about conscious thoughts. That's an interesting topic.
It's a good one.
That's very interesting.
That's a very
Yes.
conscious thoughts. Can you have a conscious thought, or do thoughts just turn up and then you become conscious of them? Oh, I'm looking. Oh, I'm gonna. You think it's both?
Yeah.
We should get you on to sit next week as well and discuss with us. Marsha, it's lovely to see you again, darling. I appreciate you coming out and co-hosting and bringing an amazing guest.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we could talk about stuff here that we couldn't talk on the Magenta show, so it was really lovely. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching, guys. Please share this episode. Invite people to join the group. We'd appreciate it. We love you. Cheers.
Good night.